In July of 2016, I was at a week-long intensive training with an author I'd long admired. She took us deep into our own psyches and histories, using ancient fairy tales to illustrate women's growth and development. These were the deep, dark, gory tales of old, the kind where someone dies or at least loses a limb while they're learning their lesson. There were no princesses in these fairy tales, no true love's kiss. But by the end of the week, I had found a few fairy godmothers. The training, which was attended by about 100 other people, mostly women, mostly therapists, that's who goes to this kind of thing, was held on the grounds of a hippie commune in rural Colorado. There was no cell phone reception on the grounds, so in order to call home or to talk to someone that you loved, you first had to message them on the spotty Wi-Fi and give them the number for the landline. Then you'd go downstairs to the closet under the stairs where the landline was. It was a big brown rotary thing that your grandparents used to have. And you'd close the door and wait for them to call you. These are the steps that I had taken on a Wednesday evening in order to talk to my husband. And when he called me on the brown rotary phone with the loud ring, he asked me for a divorce. To be fair, he beat me to the punch. I was the one in therapy, working up the courage to say what needed to be said, for reasons that are too sad and too personal to talk about here. But I couldn't do it. It was too final. It was too terrifying. And not to mention, we loved each other. The good times were still really good, and our shared, intertwined lives were so impossible to imagine separate. I couldn't do it. But that night, my husband, fortified by a few beers, with me far enough away that he could see clearly, secure at the end of a phone line, could, and he did. And through the shock and the grief and the "are you kidding me" that popped out of my mouth, there was this gut-level certainty. He was doing this, we were doing this, because we loved each other. But still, I was shocked. And then I started crying. And I didn't stop for 24 hours or 5 days or 6 months, depending on how you define stop. You know what a great place to cry for 5 days is? In the middle of nowhere, rural Colorado, with 100 women who are mostly therapists. If you have to get asked for a divorce on the phone, like, there is no better location on the planet. Every morning for the duration of the training, I would get up before sunrise and hike up the hill behind where we were staying. I took a picture of myself every day in that golden light, and my eyes were so swollen with crying that I didn't recognize my own face. I'd come back down, and throughout the days, I would sob, and it would give way to a few leaking tears, would give way to a few blessed moments of calm before the cycle would start over again. And the whole time, I was held and loved and supported by these 100 women in the middle of nowhere. I was approached by women of all ages to tell me their stories of divorce specifically and loss more generally, to tell me about the time that they had risen from the ashes of their own lives. Not to hurry me along, but to say that they saw me, that they'd been there. There had been a time that they had not recognized their own face either, but in that moment, they recognized mine. My 7th wedding anniversary was 2 days after I moved out of my house, and my husband and I went to a bar and we cried through it together. My birthday was a month later, and 17 amazing women showed up and toasted me with oysters and champagne and told me I was not going to survive, I was going to thrive. I had called my mom from that cupboard under the stairs, and when I told her the news, she pulled over to the side of the highway to tell me I was going to be okay. And I was. But I would not have been the same and would not have made it so far if it hadn't been for those 100 women in Colorado. The truth is, nobody gets a fairy tale ending. Real life is messy and can be dark and full of twists and turns that leave you spent and exhausted and living with 2 roommates and a cat in Somerville at the age of 37. We are all going to have to rise from the ashes of our own lives eventually. But we are going to rise out of them. And when that happens, and when you're safely on the other side, keep an eye out, because you never know who might need you to be their fairy godmother.